As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. Chandler, how did you get into acting?
Well, yeah, let's start there. Acting. So I guess we'll take it way back,
Sure.
but I won't spend too much time. Church 2003 was Wise Man number 3, right? That was my first taste. Straight up. No, that was my first taste of it right there. But I guess I kind of had a, not super traditional, but got introduced to, did a theater camp randomly in 7th grade. Kind of got bitten by the bug, right? We've all heard that. You get bit by the bug. And then just did, in high school, just kept doing plays. The musicals would do that. And then when I got into one act, kind of separated out the musical. Now, one act, if you're not familiar with one act, it's like sports, but for acting. So you'll do 55-minute show and it's a competition. So I started doing that in high school too. Found a lot of success with that. We ended up, like my senior year, we ended up winning state in one act for a show called God of Carnage. I played a lawyer. I was on the phone the whole time. So I just had this theater progression, right? And then, so I had that big background, right? And went to school in Valdosta with really no direction. Really went to major in fraternity. So I was partying it up, working at Domino's, really nothing going on. And then literally one day I had a snap where I just wanted to do something different. And this brings back, my mom was always a huge supporter of me doing something like this. Like I talked about going into welding one time and she was like, that's too dirty for you. I don't see you doing that. Right. She was just like a #1 fan, always pushing me, but
that's good.
She was in my ear for acting. So this was around when I was, this is probably late 2014, maybe 2015. I literally was sitting on the couch and I had a snap and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to pursue acting. Had no idea how to, to catch 22 to get into the business. It's super hard to get in. Had no idea what to do, but I just started grinding theater at that point. And we could go on because I've been doing it 10 years now, but that's kind of how I got started with that. Just a lot of theater. And then one day just felt like making a crazy decision, and I stuck with it.
That's great. I'm curious though, because I'm pretty familiar with Valdosta because my parents moved there, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something. And then if it weren't for them, I never would have stumbled across Spook Bridge. And we wouldn't be talking right now. Do they have a theater scene there?
Sort of, kind of. So that year I decided to act. I was like, all right, only thing I can do is go to theater. So I went to the local theater and auditioned. But yeah, there was a good, pretty decent scene there. They've got a nice little theater downtown. It's called the Dosta Playhouse. I did like 5 plays there that year. And I'm like legit not trying to toot my horn here. But I ended up winning like best actor of the year for the first show I did coming back. And that was like kind of a solid, like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to, like, that's a huge motivating factor. Sure. Like, I'm going to take this and run with it. And that was the first show I did out of high school. Like, had been maybe a 3 or 4 year break since I had done anything on stage. So that told me too, that maybe I have some natural ability for this to really make this a thing. So I would say there's a pretty good scene there for sure. For the people who are into theater, right? It's pretty revered there, I would say. Always good shows there most of the time. But I got a lot out of that. That time grinding there really kind of rounded out a lot of my skills, I think, doing all those plays in a row that I did.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
Chandler, it's funny. I started laughing when you said that you were a wise man because when I was maybe like 10 or something like that, I was forced by my parents' church to be a wise man in like a play that it wasn't even a play. It was like a TV production for something called Star Ministries. It was like a Christian channel. I don't think that it's even around anymore. But so I was just like cracking up because that's how I got dragged into performing a little bit too.
I was a shepherd. I'm not as cool. Wasn't good enough to be a wise man, but yeah, they made me a shepherd.
Hey, maybe
Nice.
next
Yeah,
Christmas.
Next Story of Jesus play, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had
Maybe Jesus will like you better next year.
maybe. Yeah.
hey, that might be me.
Nope.
I can play
You could
Jesus
play
right
Yeah, I
now.
was
Jesus,
going to
yeah.
ask you, so what kind
But
of, during your theater days, what kind of roles do you normally get cast in?
lead
Hey,
roles. No, I'm just playing.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
If you're
I
good,
did.
you're good.
I did do a lot of lead. I mean, I did. So it was actually funny. I'll just tell this quick story. The first play, that first one I did, I was cast as a monk, like this real nervous monk, dude. But I had the Spook Bridge hair. I didn't have this long hair. It's a different look, and looks a huge part of this, as
Sure.
you guys, I'm sure. But yeah, this nervous monk named Humphreys, I think, yeah, is his name. And I actually practiced, or we rehearsed that for about a month. And then the lead at the time, he was a soldier. He something happened to him where he had like seizures or
Yikes.
something like that. I don't know what happened. So all of a sudden they called me and said, "Hey, can you do what's funny is that character's name is Clive
Right.
in that play, not Clyde, or I get those two mixed up. But so he was a soldier, so that I ended up playing a soldier. And that was what I actually won the award for, getting swapped into that. But yeah, on theater it would be like the short hair. Like, I can do a lot. I think anything. I do have pretty good comedic chops from the theater. I did like Hello Dolly, playing like Barnaby. I don't know if you're familiar with that show. So I had this pretty good timing stuff from all the time I was doing theater. Some funny roles, which is what's crazy. Now that I do now in film is like real crazy hardcore.
That's what we know you best as.
Or at least the last couple of things. Yeah, especially if you watch Florida Man and saw my scene in there, I'm literally like kill somebody, with a grenade almost. But yeah, it's interesting how that I just think like my look then too, which is the clean cut allowed me to really sink in, to a lot of different kind of stuff. So, but yeah, like a soldier, I played like a 40-year-old man in this show called Leaving Iowa. I was like driving around. I don't know if you're familiar with that show. Like take my dad's ashes somewhere, meet a bunch of crazy characters along the journey. Done that. And then what else did I do? A British guy. I got a real shitty British accent. Played it like that. Just that clean cut. That for I guess I just fit into a couple different things there. But at the time too, it's like they had a limited talent pool.
Sure.
In Valdosta. So, and I had some experience. Just in the past. So I tended to get into those bigger roles just because of my experience.
Nice.
I think,
So what was after theater? Like, do you remember the first non-theater, like film or TV project that you got?
Yeah, definitely. That was I'll never forget. Prayer Never Fails. So that came from Valdosta. Actually, working at Domino's, crazy enough, there's a guy there, and he was talking about there was a movie being filmed in Madison. And this is already when I had that snap, and I was like doing a little bit of theater, still working at Domino's. And he ended up getting me in contact with the casting lady for that. And I remember like freaking out even when I got her number, and I just sent her like some pic I had on my, took a pic and sent it to her. And then she got back to me like a day later and was like, "Great, we'd love to have you on as an extra on the basketball team." Guys, I legit thought I made it at that point. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like I was freaking out. I literally ran back into the store cussing, and I was like, "Motherfucker, I got."
No.
Sorry.
Swear away.
that's
This
fine.
is a
Fine.
not
we're
safe
good,
for
we're
work podcast.
Okay,
So yeah,
cool.
you go right ahead.
Okay, cool. Can I vape on here
If you
too?
want
I'll
to,
lean
it's
out.
not going to bother us.
Anyway, yeah, I'm hooked. Us millennials, but yeah. So I got that extra role, and but this is one of those one in a million things that happened to me, where I think really helped my career at the time. I ended up on set. They did like an on-set audition for one of the roles that, for whatever reason, they didn't cast. And this is where like my experience came in from theater, and just because I was older, I was like 24, and all the other extras were like teenagers, like in school, real young, never had acted before. So I think that gave me an advantage when they did start reading in the room. Like they kept pulling people back to read for this role, and I was like, "It's my chance."
Nice.
Oh my God. And somehow I just like locked eyes with this chick. I was like, please let me take me back there. But what was crazy is the role was for like a tall African American dude on the team. But anyways, I read 3 times, and then for the last time they brought me all the way back, and I read with the director, and they ended up changing the part to Trevor, and just like changed the role on the spot, gave me lines. And bam, I've got like footage all of a sudden. I've actually then I really was freaking out at that point. That was crazy. And that's how I got my IMDb. I'll see if I can't pull that footage at some point and show you guys. But I'm in the trailer for it. But I had 2 scenes with like lines, like decent lines. So that gave me my first little that was my key to get into an agency. I had really good footage, right?
Makes sense.
So that and that's the rare thing to happen is those on-set auditions. I just got supremely lucky, right place, right time, prepared, fields were ready for the rain, I guess you could say at the time. So that was like Print Never Fails was like my first, and that was, 2015 we filmed that. And I just kept that train going. It took me so long to get that footage. I'm pretty sure I had to rip it off the DVD from Walmart. When
let me tell you, it hasn't changed out here in LA. People have a hard time getting their footage even to this day. But were you living in Valdosta when they shot Zombieland out there?
No, that was in 2007. Or they probably shot that in 06 or 05. But no, I was young, and then I was still in Albany. I was like in 6th grade at that point. But yeah, they shot that at freaking Wild Adventures, and we recognized like the bug out. We were like, oh my God, is this at Wild Adventures? Because we recognized it.
Well, if you squint, you might see me in the background somewhere, because that was my first extra work. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
Who did you get to talk to? Woody? Or was
no, I mean I saw him, but I never got a chance to go up to him or anything. But yeah, my dad, my dad was working at Wild Adventures at the time, and I mean I was living in Orlando still, but he pulled some strings for me. It was the one time my dad actually got me the hookup with something, and yeah, it was a good time. It was cold, but fun for sure. So tell us how you got. Anything to add to that, Yahel? Anything?
No, that's like fascinating. How you're kind of lucky, right, to get some of those opportunities, but you were also prepared and had the talent to make the most of it. Because if you think about it, like several people on the day that they were doing those readings for that character, several people got like lucky, right, to get a reading, but only one person was good enough to get it. So it says a lot about you being prepared.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think so too, man. It's all, right place, right time is like the biggest thing, and just being ready. I think this whole business is about being ready for that one time, and no matter how long it takes.
Absolutely. So, how did you get on Spook Bridge? The movie, not the actual bridge. The movie.
Yeah. So through, and it's just a web of who you meet through whatever. So through theater at the Dawson Playhouse, that the co-director of the first play I did, she was became my Valdosta mom pretty much. Anyways, I ended up, she telling me that there's this short these people are filming. It's called Mitch. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. So we filmed that. And the director, I overheard them talking about this movie that they're casting. It was one day on set, and it was Spook Bridge, and he was the DP. He was gonna be the DP, and he mentioned they were looking to cast an older 40s to 50s man for this role on Spook Bridge or whatever for the lead. And at the time, I was like, I don't know. I'm not thinking of that. But whatever it was, I think I emailed him or something. I just was like, let me just go and just see what's up with this. Emailed Roy. I got his contact from Jeremy. Emailed Roy, and they had already cast the role. I think really? I was just trying to get on. Yeah. Oh no, that's what they did. They had already cast that role. It was some other thing. I think I was just trying to get on it. Anyways, went and met with Roy at his studio. They have like a little studio in Valdosta or whatever it is. One day, and it was crazy. I sat down with him to meet about it, and he was like looking at me real weird. I don't know, not in a real weird way, but he was like
giving you the
you know what I mean?
Larry David
I don't
stare
know.
down.
Yeah, he was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess he saw something, but I mean, I left out of there with the role.
Nice.
The plot,
He didn't even make you
lead.
read. He just looked you
So-
over and.
No, we did.
Nah, I'm messing with you.
I did read. I did. So no, yeah.
So you took
I
another
was thinking
man's
the
job,
same
is what
thing.
you're
That
saying.
guy
First,
was-
you took a person of color's job. Now you're taking some old guy's job. What's going on here?
Listen, Roy told me that guy was pissed. He was like, Roy was laughing about it. He was like, yeah, the guy said it. He was like, it's like taking candy from a baby.
Jeez. Wow.
I mean, that's what the guy says. Some guy from LA. I don't know, but I just had a good read. And then what's crazy is the female lead was actually my co-lead in that first play in the movie, right? So and we didn't like it. We didn't like each other really. Anyway, so we ended up, we're like doing these rehearsals for the movie Spook Bridge, and it was like, oh, crazy, you're in this too, wow. But Roy didn't like our chemistry and like fired her. So she was super pissed too. And they got
Megan Pitts.
Shoot, I forget her name now. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you and
Sorry, I should have
Megan
got her
get
name.
along?
Really well. We worked great together. But that's how but Rachel was her name that was on it. Yeah, she was super pissed about that, and we weren't cool. This whole experience, we'll get into that. A lot of like people pissed.
But,
I'll tell you that.
Not from you. These are all choices that the great Roy Kirkland is making.
Roy's gonna be pissed when he sees this too. If I gets out. No, it's all
Next
good.
time I show up to
Hey, look, I'm telling the
Now
story.
it's
Roy,
time for Roy to be
I'm
mad.
sorry, brother. We were talking recently, but hey, Roy, love you, man. I'm just gonna tell it how it is, my brother. Anyways,
Roy's gonna be like, I fired so many people for him.
He's gonna show up at my
Dude,
parents'
about-
house. He's gonna beat down next time I come to visit. Wait,
We love you,
Oh,
Roy.
let me see if I can do a Roy Kirk. Wait, Stephen Honeycutt, did you do this podcast for the money? Did you make it all up?
Stephen Honeycutt.
Yeah, let me hear it.
He's got that southern
Oh.
twang for sure. I can't do it. I might can do it. Chandler. That's it. That's how he would talk.
I
Chandler.
don't know why, but the
like
thing
that.
I keep referencing is Roy's opening lines at the beginning of Spook Bridge when
I forgot he was in
he
that.
was.
No, he wasn't. Wait.
It's him. I was going to ask you about this, and I think we might be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. But so at the beginning of the film, it's you being interviewed by Roy on the Oh Roy show, and by you I mean.
Oh yeah. I forgot about
And
that
it's
whole
so,
thing.
and we mentioned
Yeah.
in the episode, it looks like Roy is trying to improv his lines or something because there's a lot of weird start stopping or what, and he just goes, so today I have my most interesting show all day, talking like he's been doing shows like all day from like 8 a.m. to like.
Well, that's a real thing. That's a real thing he does.
We know.
That's a real show that he does.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I did the research.
And then he's like, it's Clyde Adams, best-selling author. Now let me ask you this, Clyde. Did you do it for the money? Did you?
Oh, that's why you were asking that.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm the only one who watched
It's
it
been so
for
long.
the second time.
I was in it, bro, but it's been so long, dude. You know,
That's
it's
not
been
good enough
so-
for this short
I
haired
mean,
Steve over here.
I just got a new job and I have to take the subway to get there. So I had a lot of time to kill. And I even had to watch it at 2 times speed because we'll get into it, but let's just say there's pacing problems. Okay.
That was
So
the
Chandler,
first thing
yeah.
we shot, though, actually, was that scene.
Yes. So Steve texted me about Octagon a couple days ago, and he's like, "Hey, he tells me that you're going to come on the show," and I'm like, "That's great." He's like, "Yeah, watch." He says we're going to give Chandler's like segment in Octagon like the regular Obscurity Now treatment, whatever. When we make the decision at the end or whatever, and apparently in Steve's mind that means that he communicated to me to only watch that segment. So I ended up watching the whole movie, all of Octagon, but because of that, I didn't have time to rewatch.
All right. So
Spook
between
Bridge,
us, we completed the assignment. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're good. We'll get in there.
And you've been in both. So
yeah,
you're
and
good.
I mean,
sure.
why?
Right.
I mean, if you have time to watch the rest of the movie, that'd be fine. But Chandler's only in one segment, so what's the point of even wasting time on the other ones?
But no, that's not true. He comes back at the end.
Oh no, I am in the end.
And if you had
that's
finished,
what you didn't see, Steve. No, there's more. It's actually we'll get to that point. You know what? Yahel, I actually forgot about that little part at the end. That weird ass. It's basically the tie-in, Steve. Everything's kind of tied in, and everybody's like crawling and
crawling in their skin. These wounds, they will not heal.
No, really, it's weird, dude.
It gets a little weird.
All right,
end.
so all right, back to Spook Bridge. Okay, all right, so we covered how you were cast basically. What was the first day like on set?
The first day was that scene we did. I'm pretty sure it was either the first or last thing we filmed. I'm almost certain it was the first thing, was that interview on there. And that was fun. No problems really yet at that point. The first day we filmed was the gas station when I'm like, where's the courthouse or whatever? I think I was definitely a little nervous for sure. Because the only film I had done Prayer Never Fails before that, but I was like the lead here, right? It was a little like, oh shit, everything's on my shoulders right this moment. Just a training moment really for me to that realization, like, all right, we're here. This isn't some huge set. It's literally a guy with a camera and Roy and one boom guy, right? So nothing, I hadn't like no huge set or anything, but like I said, the thought of everything, this is all on my shoulders right now, you know? So I had to kind of ease into it, you know, loosen up, I would say, that first day, and like, all right, this is what it's going to be like, right? Kind of getting the feeling what I'm going to do with Clyde. Actually, now that we're filming, it's live. This is Clyde already. What, you know, and kind of just rounding all that out. You know what I mean?
We noticed in the gas station scene, Clyde is very he like stammers and isn't very sure of himself. But it's never like that in any of the other scenes. Like, was that a decision you made, or did Roy tell you to be that way?
It probably came out just because I was nervous, honestly. In a way, potentially that came out that way. You know, I would have to go back and look at it again to see what it is. But like I said, it's really hard for me to watch that movie, honestly. But
it was hard for me too.
And Steve really twice.
I don't deny. Yeah, it probably came off that way, and that's funny how film is. You know, even like when you're not trying to, you know, whatever you're really feeling inside is going to come out.
Yeah, because what's that? God, there's some kind of saying. It goes basically, the gist of it is like, you know, the camera doesn't capture what you're saying; it captures what you're thinking.
Sure.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, the subtleties. It's the subtleties, man. You know, I probably was a little like I said, and it makes sense if that came across that way.
But see, I don't think it's all on you, because I don't know, like in that scene. You're like a wimp, but then in the coffee scene, like the scene when you're in like the cafe, and that same douchebag comes back and puts his finger in your coffee, like you're a little bit more, I don't know, not so wimpy in that scene. So I don't know if I was just wondering if it was what Roy was telling you to do or what.
It could have been. I think, you know, thinking back on it too, that could have been a choice of mine. New town. New environment, coming to figure out what happened to my parents, right? Under a guise, maybe. I even forget the premise of it, honestly. But I think interacting with these weird people, the weird town. We shot. That was I remember that. They had some like real hillbilly dudes coming out of there, like actual, in that gas station. That was in Quitman, but to finally answer your question, I legit think though that was just actually how I was, and it was bleeding through into, you know, due to my inexperience maybe a little bit, and their inexperience maybe not catching something like that, to kind of rein in that performance, right?
Sure, I gotcha. So what is Roy Kirkland like?
Oh gosh, he is a passionate person about what he wants to do. He wants to make movies, right? And that's what he's doing down there. But he also is pretty hard to work with. I'm not gonna lie. You know, we went through 3 DPs in that time. Wow. His partner Doug ended up doing it at the end, but so there was like a lot of stuff to do with that. Definitely real opinionated about what he wanted. There was some weird stuff too on that. Like this one, he like, outside of that, just like personal reason, there was this lady that me and her kind of got along a little bit. And when I was in Valdosta, I had already moved back to Albany, and she like offered to let me stay at her house, right? And I was like, okay, right. But Roy took it upon himself to go in and like say, no, he's not going to be staying anywhere like that.
Okay.
Right. And I'm like 24 at this time. Right. I mean, so it was, if that paints a little bit of picture how it was with.
So Roy thought he was this
stuff like
big
that,
shot, like producer who could basically be like, oh no, he's gonna stay here at the Super 8. Like my actor isn't good. He's not gonna be.
Yeah, he shut it down. He was like because she was on the crew, right? And me and her have been all day, right? And she was a little older than me, and that's what I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome, right? But yeah, he blocked that one, right? But that's something I remember from that.
Okay, I was reading the subtext there,
in a way,
everyone.
Right. Well, we can say it out loud, and I only say that just to paint the real picture of like, I've forgotten a lot of the little stuff because you will, the little things but that was a big one, right? That was what it was like working with him a little bit, stuff like that. Just here, pretty controlling, right, over the stuff, and some ideas he wouldn't like, some things like the way I thought someone should be done, it wouldn't be done that way, or whatever, and or I thought something would look stupid, and I'd have to do it anyways, or I didn't agree with something like that. But that incident always stuck with me about like my time there with him.
Crazy.
I would stick with me.
So how many days was the shoot?
It was like 3 or 4 weeks. No longer than that, maybe 2 months. I really don't remember. I mean, they paid me $500.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
But I went back and
forth.
Were you
paid?
$500. Yeah, but not shit. I should have been paid a lot more for that. And it is what it is. I took it at the time. I was like, hell yeah, because Roy was like, it's like, we're doing 5 more movies after this. We're gonna get you in all right.
5 more spooky, like wait, spooky sequels, or
not necessarily that, but like they had this ideas, like selling crypto almost like, yeah, we're gonna do this, yeah, we get all this stuff coming on. Just come on. Right.
He's but like have you heard of NFTs?
How about some dog coin?
Straight up, right?
Or Dogecoin, whatever.
Yeah, dog shit coin, Spook Bridge coin. Literally what he was selling me, right?
Spook Bridge coin.
Spook coin, right? But no, he promised me the world a little bit with that, right? And I thought at the same time, I was more naive then. I didn't know the business that well. But I took the role, right? And the 500 was whatever. I think I got it after I filmed, like way the hell after I filmed, or maybe the day I was done. I don't remember the full shoot date. I think it was maybe 2 months, maybe 3, coming back to do something like later. But we did the bulk of it maybe in like 3 weeks, I want to say. But it's been about 7 years. So,
all right. So when you're handed the script and you read it, I assume, like, what did you think of it?
I thought it was, I mean, honestly, at the time, I remember, you really just focus on what you're doing at the time. You're right. So I was trying to read it just as the story, but I couldn't help but just like, all right, this is what I'm gonna be doing here. This is what I'm gonna be doing here. So I had that mindset going into it, thinking I could go in. If I thought something was weird with it, I was like, oh, we'll figure it out then, But I did genuinely, like, overall think it was a cool story, just based off the script, right? Given if everything worked out effect wise, it didn't. But
so wait, you were okay with the not 1 but 2 times a baby got tossed into fire? You were good with that?
Yeah, that was fucked up, but that was also why I think I liked it, because it was fucked up, and oh wow, this is some crazy shit that they're doing here, especially with the dude they ended up hanging. Like, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And he was cool with it.
I sure hope so.
I remember reading that and being like, wow. Oh, Dennis, the guy in that scene was in the first play with me. Nice. We're real cool. When they were throwing the baby in the fire, the father who was like, no, he's an amazing stage actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part was weird. So I think all this came together and was like, all right, this is going to be dark and cool. Like, thinking back, probably maybe some of it didn't make sense with like some of it, because I know the movie really is just like we're just doing shit, you know what I mean? But
It's a great way to describe it.
right? Am I not lying?
Put
It's
that on
just
the back of the
stuff
box.
happens.
We're just doing shit.
But
right? I'm running. All of a sudden, I'm sprinting through the woods.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was gonna.
But
I definitely want to ask you about that. But before that, like, are you a horror fan? Do you consider yourself a horror guy?
yeah, I mean, as much as anybody else is, like one of my favorite movies is Signs, right? So
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, like I use Signs for, even when I was doing, this is later on, like when I moved to Atlanta, I would use Signs for like when I was doing Meisner training. A lot of like when we had to like summon fear, I would listen to the string, boo 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 doo 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 doo. That shit would freak me out, you know, because I just picture aliens. So yeah, I think because that movie is a huge was a huge like emotional motivator for me a lot of times. So I would say at the time, yeah, because I think I was.
Do you have any?
And I saw some
so
elements.
like you would say Signs is like your favorite horror movie?
Yeah, I would say for sure. Definitely, because I mean I've written essays on Signs, even in high. Like I remember doing that in high school. I wrote an essay on it, or something I did. Maybe in college, I think I wrote something about Signs. But if that's considered horror, I think it is. Maybe not gory really, but I think it's a very horrifying movie.
Yeah, it's like that. It is a little bit of maybe like half suspense, half horror, but it definitely has horror elements.
Sci-fi horror,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think so too. And other than that, like other horror movies, I'm trying to think. You did ask me about maybe my favorite obscure movie, and I do have a great obscure movie that's my favorite. It's not horror though, but I'm gonna see if y'all heard it. I'll be real surprised if y'all heard of this. It's called The Legend of Gatorface. You guys ever heard of it?
No.
Man, I know I haven't watched it.
Was it shot in Florida? It certainly sounds like it.
I have no idea. It's just this weird. But that was actually, because I thought you asked me that question and I thought about it. I was like, do I have any obscure movies but this was the only movie as a kid that made me cry. Okay. I remember it vividly. Me and my sister would. But long story short, I don't want to ruin it, but I'll just tell you kind of what happens. These guys move to some town and they hear about this gator legend. So they make a gator suit and start fucking with everybody.
Oh, it's like a kid's horror film.
But sort of, kind of. I mean, I guess it could be a horror movie a little bit, but then actually the is real right in the movie, and they figured out he's real. The gator is like actual gator face. But then should I ruin it and tell you the ending? But you know what? I won't. But anyways,
and then you can.
Yeah, we might cover. Actually, I'll add it to the Google Doc.
Don't do it. Cover it. Yeah, I think it would be an awesome movie to cover because it's really good, honestly. And I still think back, and it makes me emotional thinking about how much it like. I mean, I remember seeing my sister just bawling at it in this movie. Yeah, like, for real. Like I remember, like every time we would watch it, we'd be just like, "No," Yeah,
we'll cover it. If you want to come back on, you can come back on, and we'll all cover it.
I think that would be super fun because I haven't seen it in a long time. Sometimes I'll randomly want to look up the pictures from the movie because it's one of those this is like stuck in your head.
Yeah, I'm looking at the IMDb you know what I mean? Right now.
What was the full name again? I'm adding it to the list right now.
The Legend of Gatorface.
The Legend of Gatorface.
Super obscure. I've asked so many people about this movie. Nobody knows about it. I swear. I couldn't tell you anybody that's been like, yeah, I remember seeing that. I don't know how we found it or whatever, but we watched it a bunch growing up.
From what you remember, like, do you think it's one of those, it's so bad it's good? Or you just maybe like have nostalgia for it because you saw it as a kid? Or
nostalgia? I remember thinking the suit they made was super freaking cool. Like, I always I vividly remember the teeth they were making the teeth for it. I can vividly picture that, and it's just one of those weird things. Like, same with like Frosty the Snowman. That intro at the beginning. This might make sense, but like it was like painted. You know what I'm talking about? They would do like the logo for that old school Frosty movie. I don't know. It's just one of those art things. I don't know. So just something stuck in my head with it.
Okay.
Like,
we'll definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's got a great ending though. I think it's I still think about the ending to this day. Randomly, it'll pop in my head and be like, "Damn, Gatorface." You know what I mean?
Would you say like you enjoy doing horror? Do you have like a particular genre that you like being a part of, or you'll just take whatever?
I think it's just I've just fallen into that. most of my stuff has been that way. Not, you know, and I think any actor is going to take what
Yes, they will.
the hell. Nobody can be picky. Nobody can be picky here. And it's just like, and that leans into your type, right? Because my type lends more towards something of that genre, especially with the long hair, gruffy, a little bit, right? So I'm not trying to, and I've done other stuff. But yeah, maybe I'll break out of it. You know, if I cut my hair, maybe. And I've cut my hair and auditioned for stuff, and I didn't start booking again until like my hair grew out long. So
yeah,
I just
you just never know, man.
With that, and I'm just gonna keep on. You know, I'll take whatever. I'll do Saw 12, whatever.
I'll be right there with you, brother.
Hostel 4. They can melt my eyeballs off in Hostel 5 if they want to, you know.
What? Roy Kirkland's on the line. He wants you for 3 more films.
He actually asked me to do something recently. I don't have the heart to tell him a lot of times that I'm like,
oh,
never work with
well,
you again. You know what I mean? Like,
just now, maybe.
But he heard it. He heard it right there. Roy, I'm sorry, brother. And if you do see this, but yeah, we'll talk later.
Well, Chandler, let me ask you something. Then just to kind of balance it out a little bit, what, if anything, was your favorite part about working on Spook Bridge, or something about it that you do remember fondly?
Yeah. Well, I do that running scene. I really like doing that.
You get to pretend to be Tom Cruise because
I was
a track.
Well, they told me to slow down. I was going too fast. I was like, all right, cool. I mean, because I was a sprinter in high school. So I just made it a point to like really dig in. And I think because I'm a physical actor, I really like doing physical things like that. And I just get lost in it. That was super fun. The house we stayed at, that huge Antebellum house, the people there that own that are just super, super nice. And so I had a great relationship.
Cool. Is that the same house where you guys had your almost like softcore porn makeout scene?
Oh yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? She had a husband too. That was super
Was that
weird.
like your first time like, hey, doing something like that on camera?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, definitely. And it was real tame, and it was. I don't know. Roy was in there. It was kind of weird for a little bit.
Roy's telling you what to do with your lips.
That is not how you kiss a woman, Chandler.
He wouldn't know. Hey, he would not know. I'll tell you that right now.
We assumed.
No,
we assumed.
Catch my drift. He would not know about kissing a woman. But sorry, Roy.
But
I guess that was cool getting that. But really, the main thing I think I liked about it most was getting to play the lead in a movie like that. And getting that, even though all the, so bad stuff, right, that I didn't like, and all the times I got pissed off, I got that experience of doing that, whether good or bad, and seeing it to completion in the theater when it came.
Right. Because now you have that experience of carrying a movie, and next time you
whether
get that
good or bad,
right,
and taking the criticism, right, and this podcast was the first time I had really like. And it was so cool to see that. I was like, oh, finally, like I get to hear something somebody says about it that I just randomly, right? And I loved it. I loved hearing the stuff. You know what I mean?
We're just happy that someone's
listening. And that's
listening.
Why I was like, oh, man, Yahel's talking smack. He's like, oh, the guy actually watched. Not really.
Hey, you were, I mean, I think we made it pretty clear that you were one of the high points of Spook Bridge.
No, Yeah, exactly. Yahel said I had the most potential out of anybody in the cast. I really appreciate that. You know what I mean? Because I was probably the only one to go on and keep doing shit outside of outside of there. So you did call that.
Did you print that quote
but it's
out
good
and like put it on your wall? Like,
yeah, it's tattooed. Yahel said no, but I think it's a rite of passage almost. And I hadn't really. I had that, but like maybe with some plays. There was one funny quote I remember about Spook Bridge. Somebody said that I read somewhere. It was like the two leads' chemistry was like watching two fish in a barrel flop around or something.
I didn't think you guys were that bad.
Oh, it was weird. It was weird. I mean, for sure. I mean, she was buried and shit.
We thought she was pretty decent too. Although, I don't know, the weird thing about the movie is that to most of the scenes, there's not really much of an emotional arc. Like you can hear the sound effects and like the sound design building to something, and then it never really goes anywhere. Like an example is like I think it's after you do your run, and it's toward the climax, if you want to call it that. And I can't remember her name in the movie, but the pits lady, she's like, you have to figure this out. You have to like figure out the spell. She's like yelling at you is gonna make you,
Oh God,
do it. Like it's.
I figured it out.
Thanks to her badgering and bitching at you.
You have to get this. That was actually a pretty fun scene though. I was hyped for that one. I remember getting teared up in that. Pretty emotional. I'm not gonna lie. Like we were in it. Pumzika qua amani. And I cringe at that now while rewatching it. And we shot that in the studio. Poor Doug. He had to do so much. Doug had to do so much. And I love Doug. Doug is Roy's not actual partner, but they are partners. He had to do a bunch of work, for that.
Sure he did. And it's weird.
So props to Doug on that. I love Doug. He did a bunch for this. Because
Doug is the director, but all we have been doing is talking about Roy. Like
Roy was the director. Doug was the, I don't know what even the, whatever. Roy's the producer director, but Doug ended up doing, once Roy fired both DPs, Doug did all the stuff. Doug was filming at the end.
I know my question here. First off, all right. Do you know the type of camera it was shot on and why were the DPs fired?
No idea what the camera was. I can't remember. I wasn't super. It wasn't anything like crazy. It was a nice. It was pretty big, I guess. A shoulder cam, mostly what it was. Jeremy, the first guy, he would set up like real static shots. He was real basic with his stuff. They had to disagree, but it all stemmed from Roy being really not being able to. So conflicts that couldn't be resolved, right? Blowed up, and then people walk off. That's basically what happened to both guys, because Jeremy was first, and then Matt came on after that, and it never lasted that long. I guess because disagreements, and Roy would, and I'm not gonna say it's only Roy, but when you do this with multiple people, like the problem is, I almost walked off that thing a couple times, right? Like the graveyard scene when I'm looking in the tree, I was super pissed off that day. I can't even remember what it was, but like I didn't want to be there that day at all, but I was. And but I think it was just Roy's personality, dealing with him on things, like couldn't compromise sometimes unless you like literally kiss his ass, and nobody wants to do that.
Definitely not.
You know what I mean? And not at all. So, and I think that's probably what it was with these guys. And Jeremy, I don't think he was that good anyways. Like he was kind of arrogant, honestly. I mean, I'm being honest though. Like he was kind of arrogant about things. And I worked with him on Mitch too, that short, and there was some weird stuff in that too. Like I said, he's got real static stuff. It's not a bad thing, and I don't like him because he was talking smack about me behind my back one time, and I called him.
Fuck that guy. Then.
So there's always some stuff. I know. Fuck that guy. I can't remember what it was. He was saying something like he didn't think I was going to do a good job on Spook Bridge, and somebody told me that. And I was like, oh, this guy. And then what was funny later on, a couple of years later, when something of mine came out, he was like hitting me up like, yo, dude, awesome.
Of course.
Wait. Are you trying to tell me there are phonies in the entertainment business? I don't believe you. No, I refuse to believe it.
Straight up. But, whatever. I'll be cool with him now. But that's just the way it was. I think it was a good experience seeing how the industry could be and how people get turned off of this business. Working with, because you hear these kind of stories all the time, people hard to work with, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, so I got that taste real early on.
So back to Spook Bridge, like, I don't know. There's some scenes where I know there's a scene where you have to answer the door to talk to like the nosy lady who runs the.
Yeah, so that's Deborah. That's Deborah who I got Octagon from. That's how I found out about Octagon, was through her.
And like. For some reason, you have to be shirtless for that scene. Was like that.
I think Roy wanted me to be shirtless.
We assumed as much
because he thought I had a good chest. Because he thought I had a good chest, which was weird. What was really fucked up was he always would say, Dom, the guy who played the crazy kid. Roy was like, man, if we could get Dom's legs in your chest, he'd have a perfect man, or something weird like that. I don't know. Me and Dom didn't get along at all for a while. We're cool now, but we were rivals.
Wow, art
for a little
imitating
bit there.
Life. I love
Big time.
I love it.
Because we were rivals on. We did some theater together after Spook Bridge at the play together, and we were like that classic, real good friends at first, then you become rival enemies almost. Yeah, that's what happened to us because he tried to make some movie. Oh, that would have been way worse than Spook Bridge. Way worse. If you look at his IMDb, there's a bunch of. And Dom, I'm not talking smack about you, bro. I'm sorry, but he's got a bunch of a shitload of credits, but a lot of them aren't real. They're like not.
Wait, they're AI movies.
I'm telling you, like he's. No, it's just some shit he put on there. Like he like inflated it or something, but some of them aren't real. Like we were gonna do some college fraternity movie, and they were trying to have like zombies crawling up the water tower. I was like, bro, you're weird. There's no way, like you're gonna be able to do this. Anyways, he was just over, but we, we're cool now. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Together, you guys would make the perfect man, according to Roy Kirkland. Oh, okay.
Yes, he really. I remember him saying that. I'd be like, that's fucked up, dude. I'm like. I hate that I wish I had big legs, but they're not like tiny. You know what I mean? He's just like,
don't skip leg day. I don't know.
And I know I was a runner, man.
Right.
Like I don't know. Yeah. But and then a wrestler upper body, I guess.
We'll see in the ring,
I did
brother.
wrestle for 12 years in high school, though. I would. That's why I was going to get into WWE because I wrestled in high school, and acting and wrestling. That's the cross section is WWE, man. Right there. I would have had a great gimmick. I already had something.
Do you want to tell us your gimmick?
I was gonna, I was playing Elden Ring at the time.
I've heard of it.
You know that game? When I was trying to do it, and there was this guy who was like a prisoner with like a bucket, like a water pail on his head or something weird. I like that. So I was gonna do like this weird. I was like, man, I could be like this weird, like. Just prisoner, like chained up, man. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be that bad with like a metal head, almost like a cane deal.
Dude,
like
there was a guy in ECW in the 90s that did that. He would come out strapped to like a rolling stretcher, upright,
something like that.
And he'd have like the face mask, like from Hannibal or whatever. And then they'd like unstrap him, and then he'd come in the ring.
Jericho's friend,
it could
right?
work.
Is that who you're talking about?
I love Jericho. But yeah, something like that.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Nails? It wasn't played by Nails, but I can't remember who did it, but it was somebody in WCW. You're thinking of Ralphus? No.
But it's the same gimmick.
This is like something from the 90s. No, not really.
We could talk.
We're getting sidetracked here.
I haven't completely written that off. I'm a big. I will pursue a damn dream now in a heartbeat.
You still have plenty of time.
I love doing it.
Hey, I mean, wrestling usually sneaks its way into pretty much every episode in one form or another. So, hey, it's good to hear that you're a fan. But let's see. Back to Spook Bridge. I think I've pretty much exhausted most of my questions. Did you have anything to add about Spook Bridge, Yahel?
Yeah, I think seen it in theaters now, right?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like what the sort of like a rap party was like, and
there wasn't really a rap party. I can't remember. I think we went out to eat or something
McDonald's?
like that. No rap party. I think I just wanted to be done. I legit. I think we did do something like that, but no rap party really. I think we were just done one day, and I'm pretty sure I gave Doug some weed when I left, and then legal weed, right? But
sure.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I think we're just done. I think I was just ready for it to be over.
It sounds like it.
At that time. And we're done with it. But no, the premiere though, that's what I really got to see what the reception was going to be like, and it was not good. It's not good. Listen, we sat down. I'm over here. I got my hat on, like fucking this, like just straight up, like all the way incognito mode. I didn't want anybody to know I was in there. But we watch it, and the first scene when the claws like or whatever, the beginning, those effects, people are laughing and walking out like immediately.
Damn.
And straight like early on. And it didn't bother me. Because I knew it was going to be like that. I thought it was just a cool experience. Like I'm over here undercover. I'm about to be on the screen a bunch. There's a bunch of people in there because Spook Bridge is a legend of the town. You know what I mean? Like everybody grew up hearing about it. So they wanted to see what the fuck was up. And the majority of the people left. A lot of the young people left, I would say at first. There was some like, what the, whenever that hand, it was so ridiculous, right? The hand thing. It was so ridiculous. And people walked out, and I thought it was funny. And I just kind of basking in it. But I did get that cool moment though, walking out after it was done. Oh, that's Clyde,
Nice.
right? That did happen once. That was cool. And I will
That's
say,
cool.
out of everything, I do remember that, and it was some young kid or whatever, and I got that taste of like, it's not fame, right? But it is that, hey, buddy, thanks for coming. You know what I mean?
You
Get
throw
that
the towel
cool,
at
get to
him. Yeah,
experience
I
that.
gotcha.
Yeah, hey, buddy, it's a little rascal. Yeah, it could be you one
You
day,
deserve
buddy.
a
That
hero's wage.
terrible
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
That was cool though, and so I got the whole package deal. I think with Spook Bridge, right? In a way, that first experience, great intro to the film
Who,
business. I think, when it was
Yeah.
all said and done.
I think I saw Roy edited it himself, right? Doug
Doug,
did. Oh,
Doug
well,
definitely
I
edited
think that's
that.
where the film
Definitely.
suffers the most because it's too long. It's got big
Mhm.
pacing problems, and that's the thing that keeps it from being like so bad it's good, because obviously the effects are like laughably bad, and there's a lot of like weird choices, mostly on Roy's behalf in the screenplay. And if he just chopped out like 30 minutes, then this could have been up there with Miami Connection
Oh.
or Samurai Cop, like one of
Right.
those movies or something. But I feel like they had to use all the footage basically, because it was all just so good. It all had to make it into the final edit or whatever.
Right. And I do want to touch on something Yahel said about me, which I agree with on here. You said that you didn't think I was somebody that could turn bad material good, right? And looking back on this movie, I do agree with you there. And it just proved at that time, like, I needed that training, and I knew that. And that's why I hustled to Atlanta and I got into this long program. Because I had some, but I didn't have everything I needed at the time. Right. So this is after Octagon when I finally made it to Atlanta, and I got that. It was like an 8-month Meisner course, and I took a bunch of classes and stuff. And then after I did all that, I got more experience, and now I got to that point. Looking back, I still don't even know if I could have turned that good. I think I mentioned that in the comment, right?
It would have been pretty hard for anyone.
Not even
I think
Sir
so,
Anthony
too, man.
Hopkins could do it.
I mean, I'm sure somebody like you get Christian Bale in there, right? Like that would have been sick.
me to the
or
Spook
something
Bridge.
like that, right?
But the editing, but I mean, I think Steve's right. The editing makes the pacing so bad that even if you or somebody else would have had the greatest performance in all of cinema, the pacing kind of just drags it out, so much that you like don't even want anything good. You just want it. You just want to get to the end, kind of, or to or just speed up a bit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I will say though, in Octagon, where you obviously have a lot less dialogue.
Oh,
obviously,
zero dialogue in that, right? Not a single line.
but your acting is like more. It's way more powerful. Obviously, it's better shot. I mean, there's a lot of things that are you're
definitely.
like I was telling Steve, I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your ass. I texted him this a few hours ago that yours was one of the better stories in the out of the 8 stories in the anthology.
Watched, it definitely was.
And
I appreciate that, and Chris thinks so too. Chris got that feedback a lot because it was weird, interesting with no dialogue. It's all just
it's in your face, your body movement.
And there's some things I don't like about it that I would go back. Like when I hit her down the stairs, I fucking hate that look. I hate that. Every time I watch it, I hate it. But like I said, that was another great experience of like, okay, now here's what you do with no lines. How do you act? Right.
Yeah.
How do you, what's your performance like? All this, you know what I mean? And we're actually going to work on something soon where I'm doing something very similar with no lines. Right.
Yeah. Because when you have no lines, you kind of have to be kind of imagining how it's going to come across in your head. Right. Because you can't rely on the script. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, not at all. Not at all.
I was genuinely like, impressed. I knew you were in it, but I feel like this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment. I didn't like your growth is like very palpable, like from Spook Bridge to Octagon. Like,
and I think that also says something about the directors, working with the directors.
Sure.
Chris was able to get me out of there, right, into that just the way we shot it, everything. It was all really smooth. I've never had an issue with Chris ever, and I think that says a lot about what you're able to get out of the talent you work with.
Yeah.
Being a good director.
I was. I guess since we've transitioned from Spook Bridge into Octagon, was there anything else left that you wanted to say about Spook Bridge before we move on?
No, I mentioned that I met her husband. That was weird. After he had watched the hookup thing, he was like,
"Oh,
so
that was hot."
Huh? No.
Sure, why not?
No, I guess all I'm going to say is, like I said a minute ago, I'll just reiterate it though, but like it was a great intro to the business.
All right, fair enough.
You know, and it was awesome.
So we've already sort of gotten a sense about the differences from working on Spook Bridge to Octagon. So you would say that Chris Higgins maybe is a little bit easier to work with, maybe a little bit. What's that? Wiggins. Oh,
I say Wiggins.
That he's a little bit easier to work with, maybe a little bit better working with actors than Roy Kirkland, the non-director.
Absolutely.
Man, you're
right.
really
now,
truthful
Chris,
for an actor. I like it.
I gotta be, man. Roy's the same way. Like, look, dude, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I wanted to come on and talk about the story. You know what I mean? But no, Chris is amazing. Like, me and him have kept up with each other for 9 years, or 8 years at this point, almost. Like, we still work together. So we made an impact on each other, really. And I was driving to like do rehearsals. I mean, I grinded that role out, like, because I didn't get it for a while. Like, I kept having to drive like 3 hours from Albany to Jacksonville. We'd meet at a Starbucks. I would read. I remember like the first time I went there, I read at a Starbucks, and we're literally sitting around people, and I'm doing something with Dead Billy. Like, I was like, "Don't rape me!" Or I don't remember what the line was, but I like yelled it. I like yelled it in the Starbucks
talk. I don't know what you're talking about.
And he was like, "Oh," but I just kept having to grind on that one. So that was another like grind role. Like, you hear about actors grinding. I was grinding, just driving hella far for this. Like, I didn't even know. It was Deborah was like, "Jacksonville director looking for actors on Facebook." And I was like, "Yo, sending myself." You know, so, and that turned into something good. So I think that I really was trying for that one, and we got along great. And he just turned it, and I thought this story was so weird, man. You know, so weird. Like, with the whole pedophile shit, you know, and the whatever, you know.
Yeah, it was really dark.
Super dark, right? And then you look at the rating on IMDb, it's 3.5. I've never asked Chris about that. Like, hey, what do you think about that rating?
I was shocked when I saw that. You're talking about the rating for Octagon, right?
Yeah, you know, Octagon. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I was shocked because I think Spook Bridge is like 5.9 for Spook Bridge.
But it's the sample size, right? I don't think many people have watched Octagon.
Yeah, there were only like a few comments. I think like 3 comments.
So I don't think you're going to get a huge. I don't think we're going to get a huge. The correct thing, because some people would like it. My uncle randomly watched it. He's like, "Man, I watched this weird movie you were in. This is like last year." I was like, "Which one?" He's like, "Octagon." I was like, "Oh my god!" So he found it.
Thank God it wasn't Spook Bridge.
No, seriously.
Spook Bridge isn't weird, man. Other than the weird choices Roy Kirkland made.
Come on. Every actor needs a shitty horror movie.
100%. I mean, you know Bruce Campbell has like 12.
I got mine out of the way.
I would love to be in a crappy horror movie. I would love to be in a movie I can't turn around.
No, I love that feedback though, Yahel. Seriously, like, I don't take that to heart at all. Like, I agree with that a lot at the time, you know, because I needed that training anyways. But yeah, I love Chris. I think Chris is one of the, you know, I think we'll continue working together for a long time here. It's unfortunate. We did the movie Devil in Hand together. This was after we had Jeremy Palco from Walking Dead on there.
Oh, nice.
So I worked with him a little bit. That was good. That got canceled. I'm still pissed, but I knew the director. So Nick from Octagon, he was the editor for Devil in Hand, and we were really tight. So I was able to get that footage from him. That's the only way you can get it, is if you're friends with the editor.
Or if you get it from the DVD at Walmart. Sure, yeah.
So
exactly.
Pro tip for aspiring actors: be nice to your editor.
Be friends with the freaking editor ASAP. Or that's literally the only way you're going to get it early. Or if it gets canceled, it's just gone, you know. That's happened to me a few times here, honestly. But I forgot where we were.
So with Octagon, one thing I wanted to ask you about. So were you there when they did the scene for your short where the puppet like kind of rises from the bag?
The little boy with the boy.
I'm sorry, not the puppet.
The monkey mask.
The mask, the
The
monkey.
monkey.
How he kind
Yeah.
of like
Oh, in the
forms
hallway
the
when
bag.
we're.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was in
Because
there for
that was
that.
really well done. I was really actually, to be honest, like most of the effects and makeup throughout Octagon are
Yeah.
pretty decent. I was pretty surprised, but yeah,
I'll tell
like,
you.
huh?
No, no, we'll get to it in a little bit. There's one thing about Octagon that I always thought was weird. I don't know why Chris did it. That's the one thing. But and no, we'll continue with that. Yeah, they did that practically. They had Shannon's the cowboy. And you would have seen
Steve
it,
didn't see
Yahel.
the cowboy.
Just rub it
Yeah,
in.
the cowboy. It
Jeez.
was his son. They put in the bag. He was the monkey, the little kid. So
Okay.
they put him in the bag, and he was doing whatever he
You
was.
just kind of contorted around and made it look
something.
creepy.
I can't remember what they did with the head. What we did with that.
Yeah, because the head almost like looks like it's like all the way back, and it kind of like almost snaps into place.
Yeah,
like, it looked really good. Whatever they did, however they did it.
Yeah, that did turn out great right there. I thought. And I love the bat thing, killing him with the bat. I thought that turned out all right. But the one thing I was going to touch on, it's like a freaking Wilhelm scream he gave me at the very end. I'm pretty sure that was what, you know what I'm talking about?
They dubbed in a scream. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, they dubbed in a scream for me, and I remember thinking, dude, why didn't you just get me to scream? No, I love you, Chris. If you do say, I love you, brother. That's the only thing I was.
Maybe they just forgot to do it at that moment. Yeah,
something like that. Maybe it was.
Yeah,
but I think it's because of me.
Decision made like in the during editing, like, hey,
yeah,
this would add a little something.
And I think for me, it's not my scream. I was like, what the hell? You know, that's not me. And I don't think other people would hear that. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe because I wonder if maybe the thinking was, well, because you don't have any dialogue. Like, imagine if the only time we get to hear, quote unquote, your voice, your character's voice is a scream. Kind of maybe that was kind of like the thinking.
I don't know. That would have been cool.
I mean, they were recording on-set sound, right? For the.
I don't think we did for mine because I had no lines. Maybe certain things they did.
I thought maybe they were trying to catch like the sound effects and stuff, possibly. So maybe that explains why they just dubbed a scream in, because they just didn't have a microphone at the time.
Right. Yeah, just give my 2 cents about that on some of those things. But yeah, it was like really cold that day, so and I had to wear that little. I still have that shirt, by the way, and I wear it sometimes. That blue, it's got a hole in it from when I was dragging myself through the dimension, floor. Yeah, under the bed, through the dimension. That was me crawling out of the bed. When I left, that was the first thing we shot with that, though. And then he freaking takes my pants off, bam, like immediate, yeah, really cold, though. I remember just being miserable.
What was that building?
Just having that hideaway.
What was that building you guys shot in?
No, yeah, some weird storage unit like in Yulee, Florida. Just like real rainy, depressing day. I remember driving in from Valdosta being like, God, this will be fun. But this is a shit day. But it worked well for the shoot, I think, given that atmosphere. Yeah. Keeping it gloomy, keeping it cold, I needed
I like the way it was lit too.
Yeah, great atmosphere.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. But I needed to be cold. And I think the whole the building lent to that, but that was a lot of fun. I always wanted him to give me the they have a silver octagon like thing they made for the cover.
So they made that themselves.
Yeah,
that prop. Okay, I was wondering about that.
Poured blood on something. They had the one I really like where they were like the girl was wearing it and they poured blood all over her. Now that movie I think is doing well overseas.
I could see it.
I was talking to Chris about it. I think it's like foreign is doing well, but he's navigating this crazy thing of like distribution. He tells me all about this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I don't know that side of business at all. And he does a lot of this work trying to get it, because I was supposed to see something from Octagon.
You mean
like that was in the contract, right? And I've never seen anything from it. Yeah, like it's in the contract. Like he didn't pay us at first, he couldn't. But I was just like hungry actor. Sure. Like I didn't care. I would still work for him for free because that's how much I love working with him. Honestly, I really would. I tell him that all the time. But
did you guys have a rap party or anything like that?
I don't think I could have made.
All Steve cares about is
usually
rap parties.
when a movie ends,
that's
when a project ends, that's usually what happens.
I know.
That's where the fun stuff happens. I'm pretty sure
Sure.
they did something, but I don't think I drove up there for that because I was driving from Albany,
Oh,
which was
that's
like
right.
3 hours away at the time to do that filming. Like staying with friends of Valdosta the night before, going out, and then going the next morning early and filming. A lot of driving for acting,
I
man.
mean,
So
especially if
much
you live
driving
in
getting
the
in there. Like,
southeast. I mean, if you were over here in LA, there would be less driving, but more traffic. Let me tell you.
yeah, more sitting in that. I think LA is the hardest market to break into for somebody new, though. Like, all borderline impossible. Unless that's why I tell people go to Atlanta first. Like, there's a lot of low hanging fruit there, or even bigger hanging fruit there.
I
But
probably
like,
should have done that.
obviously, LA is where the big stuff for real. Oh, were you trying to act for a while?
I was here. I mean, I started out in theme parks, where most big time actors start. And
Yeah.
yeah, I went and did a foreign contract and saved up some money, and then we moved out to LA. And I don't know. So far, the pinnacle of my career was this reality TV show, which I absolutely hated. It's on Netflix called 100 Humans. But then my son was born, and what's
I've
that?
seen that.
You,
I think I've seen that on Netflix.
Human number
or at
3.
least scroll by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Atlanta's the spot, man. I'm telling you, Atlanta is the spot.
Well, the business out here
for,
is in the gutter.
breaking in.
So, I mean, we're trying to move back to the southeast. So, I mean, I would love to try it out there someday, but we'll see.
Oh man, anybody can do it. I'm telling you, you get a good agent and you get it plugged into the scene. Game over. Eventually, you're going to get in there, like 100%.
Cool. Well, anything else to add about Octagon?
I'll give it a.
Hold on, wait! Don't rate anything yet.
No.
We'll
Oh yeah,
there.
no,
Okay.
no.
Anything else to add about Spook?
Yeah.
Steve has a special bumper.
No, just made good friends from that. Like I worked on stuff from it, but that chain kept going. After that. So I just think networking is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And making these connects you make, like literally do. So like from that Facebook post, if I hadn't responded to that, like I wouldn't have had all this work come after that.
Nice.
So
are you gentlemen ready to render your verdicts on Spook Bridge and Octagon?
Oh, we're gonna redo Spook Bridge. I'm ready.
We'll let Chandler here rate Spook Bridge since we already did. But all right, here comes the bumper.
Remembered or obliterated? That's the question.
Pretty quick bumper.
All right.
That's been a lot of fun, guys. Honestly.
So, Chandler, do you think Spook Bridge should be remembered for all of human history, or tossed in the black void of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
I think we should get that shit out of here. Toss that thing. Get it out of here. No, let's keep it a little bit. Keep it for the homies, but get that shit out.
All right. Well, I mean, you already heard our verdict, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Spook Bridge shall be once again obliterated from all of existence. Here we go.
The heathens have spoken. You are obliterated.
All right, and now I guess we'll once again start with Chandler since he's the guest here. You know what? No, we'll save him for last. All right, Yahel, do you think Octagon should be remembered for all of human history, or tossed in the black void of obscurity, never to be heard from again?
Well, considering I actually watched all of Octagon, I think only Chandler and I's opinions really should count. But right. I digress. Well, your opinion can count for 3/8 of an opinion since you only watched 3 of the stories, Steve. But not all of the stories are great. I wouldn't say any of them are bad. Just a couple of them are a little like, I don't know, a little boring, maybe a little slow. But I was worried going into it, but I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. I will say I ended up, because I was busy with editing this other thing, I was kind of doing it in between when my computer was rendering this 3D stuff. So anyway, I watched it like in 3 blocks, so maybe that helped. But I ended up liking it a lot more than I did. Than I thought I would. I thought the performances were for the most part pretty good. Like nobody stuck out to me as like, oh God, this person's rough. None of that. There was a little hokey dialogue here and there, but I actually liked it, and I finished it today. And I was telling Steve like I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep, so if there was ever a time for me to not like something, it would be today. And I say keep it. Like at least half of it is good, and I would say the stuff that's like not that great isn't that bad either.
Okay, all right. So that's a remembered for Yahel, and yeah, I'll say, all right. I watched the first 3 chapters. The first 2 story.
You didn't even see how it all ties together, man. So
We'll tell him what happened.
I mean,
We'll tell
I
him what
already
happened.
have yeah. I'm gonna watch it later. Get off my back, Mom.
I can't believe Roy showed up at the end. That was wild.
Yeah, Roy. Dude, let's put Roy's face as a thumbnail for this. So honestly,
at the end, the camera flips around. See, it's Roy typing up
that's
the
Chandler's
story.
nightmare there.
God, that really is.
But
he's gonna kill me.
He's typing with one hand, puppeteering Chandler with the other.
but anyway,
making me cock blocking me over here. God,
you cannot have sex with my actor.
dude, she was a MILF, bro.
Well, I'm sure you have plenty of time to find some other MILFs. But anyway, so yes, I like Chandler's section, not just because of him, but because of a good atmosphere. The creepy puppet monkey mask thing was good. I'm interested to see what Christopher Wiggins. Yes, yeah, I'm interested to see what else he has in the future. Maybe team up with a writing partner, and maybe throw a little more story into something. But no, I liked it overall, and it's definitely going to be a remembered for me. How about yourself, Chandler?
Well, I'm definitely not going to throw a wrench on this, but I will say, I'm just going to say it. I'm definitely going to keep Octagon. I think dealing with those crazy themes, especially what my story did, and I'm not going back just for me, but like the whole, my dad's raping me as a
We're
kid.
so
Let me kill him
demonetized.
now.
Oh God!
Right?
Nah,
really?
we
Are
were
we
never
really?
monetized.
Oh no, we're not.
Okay.
We're not
NFW. Hey, you can shut that out. But like I said, that and I have felt some rage in my current life, not because of that, but other things, right? You want revenge sometimes. You want to get back at somebody, and
Sure.
I think that's a message for me still. And maybe some other people could get that message of getting that revenge, maybe, and always the right thing to do. Maybe sometimes it can still, darkness will still consume you even after you get the revenge you want, right? So I think there's a message there with that, but I want to keep it. I want to keep it for sure. I like the story, and I agree with you, Yahel, on some of the points, right, about the movie, the movie as a whole. But I think it works on its own as this, uniqueness, because I don't think a whole lot of things are dealing with that in the way they do, right? So I'm keeping that thing for show, not going with Spook Bridge.
We can't shit on it enough, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So for all those reasons, Octagon shall be remembered. Here we go.
In accordance to Obscurity Now, the most important streaming YouTube podcast in all of the internet, you shall be remembered. Yes. Good show. Good show.
So go ahead and ask that question again, Chandler.
One last thing I forgot to ask you, Steve. How did you find it? You mentioned it was your
Yes.
parents, but like I don't know how anyone.
Well, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, works at this local grocery store called Stan's. I don't know if you've ever been to it or heard of it. But I guess Roy gave them a bunch of DVDs of Spook Bridge to give to all the employees. So he just had them sitting around, and I can't remember. I mean, they know that I do this show. I don't know if I brought it up to him one time, but somebody told me about Spook Bridge, and I'm like, you got to give me a copy of that. So he gave me the DVD, and we sat on it for like a year waiting for next Halloween to come around, and we reviewed it as part of our sort of like October horror kind of deal. So yeah, it was meant to happen, man. It was cosmic.
Yeah, Stan's like sponsored some shit. Or something with Spook Bridge. I can't remember. Or no, Roy did. Oh no, Stan's Meat Market was a sponsor for the Roy show.
My sister was
That's what
telling
it
me
was.
that Roy used to do like sort of little shorts, I guess, on the internet of him like cooking with their meat or something. I don't know, some sort of YouTube.
He likes to cook with meat now. I'm sorry. Hey, I had to.
No,
dude. I'm sorry.
no.
That was mean.
This has been awesome. But we like I
Yeah,
said, we don't have we haven't had a lot of guests on this show just because, like, I don't know, the whole theme of this show is obscurity and obscure movies and TV, so it's kind of hard to get a hold of people because they disappear from the business or whatever. But I'm so glad you reached out to us.
Yes,
I ain't
thank
quit.
you,
I ain't
man.
quit yet, boys. I ain't quit yet. So.
And Chandler, I do want to say, man, like, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm just blowing smoke up your ass, but I can really appreciate like how you handle criticism. It's how so I'm now YouTuber is like my job now. And, that's how I try to like take criticism too on my content is you can't take it personally. You got to like, look at it objectively and say, okay, is there really something here that I can improve on or what have you? Not that anyone should be listening to me or my opinion, but point is like, man, like I wish more people overall, like, dealt with criticism that way. It's a healthier way to deal with it. And, you end up growing more as a performer or, whatever it is that you're doing.
I think it's a learned skill too. A lot of times with dealing with the criticism and that muscle, and for me too, is that hunger to even see like, oh my God, they're covering my movie like that I did. Oh my, this is so cool. And I think a lot of that was already washed away just because the novelty of like, oh my God, they're about like, are they going to talk about me? Like, it's going to be weird, nothing like that. Right. And no, it was just cool hearing it. It's a rite of passage, I think, to hear anything, right? Anything there.
Sure.
But it was good feedback. I'm telling you, it was good feedback.
Hey,
you were spot on.
You guys should try having your screenplay
Yeah.
eviscerated by a group of other writers. I mean, it's the only way to go is up from there, or quit completely, I guess.
Maybe Roy should try that. I don't know.
Dude, they got, man, if you only knew of the stuff they've done like a couple more movies.
Oh,
here
we
recently,
went to the I can't
crew.
remember. It's called like RKJD Productions website.
Oh, Arcade. Arcade. They did a freaking expose or some shit recently, or like a film festival, I think.
I'm pretty sure we ended up adding like a few things, like 2 or 3 things that he did or was involved in that sounded.
Well, for a while, he had like trailers or pictures or stills of something from what basically looked like, for lack of a better term, a gay vampire movie, and we were stoked for that.
Oh yeah.
We were.
Oh my God, you're talking about the.
Was it a cross burning or?
I can't remember what it was called, but
I forgot.
But yeah,
about
I mean,
all that.
kept every now and then I would just go and I'm like, when's the gay vampire movie coming out? And then it's just sort of disappeared from the website. And recently, I think he released a film about, I think starring the guy who played the sheriff from Spook Bridge, and something
Henry,
about veterans. And I'm like, we can't make fun of that.
Yep.
So yeah, we're still waiting for that gay vampire movie. Roy, you need to make it happen, buddy.
Dude, bro, that's not coming. Roy was like the lead. He cast stuff in the lead as like some underworld type badass. I don't even know, dude. It was weird.
I think he was in the pictures. Yeah.
Chance, who was the mean guy in Spook Bridge, he was doing something weird in that movie. I don't remember what it was. I forget. Something weird. Oh, some like, I don't know.
Chance, I need you to come over here and sit on my lap for a second. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah. It's something like that. Well, yeah, dude. That was a weirdo. I never saw anything.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you could obviously tell that, these are somewhat vanity projects for Roy. I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Neil Breen, but yeah, basically all of his movies are vanity projects. It's just him in like a black wife beater, like making out with actresses that he hired that were way out of his league, and he's naked, but they're not. We haven't. You should. They were a couple of them were on YouTube for a while. Like Double Down is one of his, and we're gonna cover those eventually. But I mean, if you're looking for something that's so bad it's good,
Neil Breen is the way to go.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay.
enough about Roy and Neil Breen. What's next for Chandler Lane?
So what's next for me is I will say the most recent thing I did. I'm waiting for this to come out. That's what I'm doing now. That's what's next, is to get this thing out. I played Alice Cooper on this micro deal. He's got a show called The Way I Heard It. And then, which is a podcast where he talks about things. And then they've got like a spinoff called The Story Behind the Story, where they put basically video to what he's done, but they cast me as Alice Cooper.
Nice.
So I'll send you a picture of that. But yeah, that was just like the biggest thing I've done. And they flew me out of Tulsa in October, like 4 times for this. So I'm waiting on that to come out. I didn't even sign an NDA. So I could probably show you a pic at least, but I've got one on Alice, on my Instagram of, when I was playing Alice. So I'm waiting for that to come out to see what comes of that. And just taking things day by day, I think, right here. Trying to get back to Atlanta too, just living that starving actor's life still after 10 years.
Speaking of, I mean, if anyone listening wanted to hire you, is there some socials they could find? Of course, we'll put them in the description, like Instagram or something you want to pimp.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I lost audio for a sec there. You're asking about my Instagram.
Yeah.
I can
Socials,
do that.
People
I
want
don't
to get a
even
hold
do
of
that.
you for
Email,
work,
anything.
Yeah, we can. No, well, yeah, I'll send you my Instagram for that to put in the description for sure. Let me see what it is. And we'll get that in there, and then for sure. But that's probably the best way to
all right,
to get with me on there.
All right, sounds good. Well,
Sounds good.
Chandler, once again, man, thanks so much for reaching out and coming on here. It's been a pretty fun episode.
Oh,
That
sorry,
was really
Steve.
fun, guys.
One thing I keep forgetting to mention is that if anybody wants to watch Octagon, you can watch it now on
Good
Tubi.
save. Good save.
Nice. It's on Tubi. Okay.
Yeah.
If
That's
you
where
want
we
to watch
watched it.
Spook Bridge, send me an email and I'll send you my link.
Look, send it
And
to
I'll
me.
send you
Look,
a list of other movies that you should watch instead.
send it to me. I'll sign it for you, and then we'll get.
Hey,
you.
the next time I'm in
There you go.
Valdosta, if you want to grab a beer or something, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for real.
All right. I'll reach out to you.
You know what?
I really
Not a
will
bad
get you to
idea.
sign my copy of Spook Bridge. Dang it, there was one more thing I was going to mention. I completely forgot what it was. But anything else to add, gentlemen, before we sign off here?
I'm good.
Let's keep it obscure, guys.
It's pretty good.
Let's keep it obscure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Obscurity Now. Make sure you subscribe, comment, and like and share. Contact Chandler here for all your future horror movie needs, and we will see you. Any needs of any kind, unless you're Roy.
Maybe
Yes.
your wife needs to
If
be
you're
kissed.
Roy,
I don't know.
don't call. But we'll see you next
Hell,
time.
Yes, you're saying the
As
right.
we continue to unearth more obscure media only on Obscurity Now. I'm having a weird day. The name's Adam. Where I'm from, I'm known as the Zero Thief. Depending on who you ask, some might say I'm the best thief. But believe it or not, even the best screws up every once in a while, and that's what I did, and I had to make a fast getaway. I ended up crash landing on this bizarre planet. Turns out, I didn't get away fast enough. These winged freaks followed me here.
It's just us here, Zero Thief, on this empty backwoods planet. So start talking, either to me or my blade.
Okay, I do have something to tell you. It's about the planet. It's not that empty. Come on, man. I thought you were gonna die. Cut me loose. Cut me loose. Behind you. Whoa. Thought I was done for. It was gonna be a light snack for a snarling creature. But then, she showed up, riding on the back of one of those monsters like it was nothing. And with a wave of her hand, the other razor-toothed beast just stomped away. I'd never seen anyone like her before in my life. I thought I'd say something clever. Thanks, have you seen my ship? She gave me a look that said more than words ever could, because I think she was trying to read my mind or something. And from there, things just got even weirder. Escape to Earth. Issue 3, The Dinosaur Stampede. Crowdfunding now, only on Kickstarter. Get it now before it's extinct. You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links, if that's what you're into. I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.